in your experience, which have been profitable in your training and in your experience?
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So VUCA world, right? This is actually a military term, right? Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, as you said. And this was a term we were using before AI, before the pandemic, just with the kind of changing world, just through kind of technology, that the way that we work is increasingly VUCA, and that in order for human beings to work well and live well and feel well in that context, it's good to, first of all, understand why it's challenging, and then to have tools in your toolbox for how to deal with it. So we just talked about, in part, why it's challenging. You have to exert much more energy to learn and develop. And, we're not just doing things on autopilot anymore. We have to be constantly developing and keeping up pace with technology. And then uncertainty causes stress, complexity. Our brains are processing far more data probably than human brains ever have before. If you think about how many emails people receive and text messages, just the amount that we're reading and communicating, and how quickly we're expected to reply to things. It's a lot, right? And so a natural response to that is a stress response or anxiety and exhaustion. But so what are the tools that we know help with that, which is more your question? And I think what we find to be most effective, and so when I work with companies, I also work on the research of this. So we evaluate interventions that we do with leaders, and we say, okay, what before and after, what really changes for them? And so resilience is key here. And this is a bit, in mindfulness, sometimes we talk about you can't control the waves in the ocean, right? You can't always control the external environment. There will be waves, there will be ups and downs, there will be rough weather and things that are difficult to navigate. But you can learn how to surf, which means you can learn how to ride the waves, right? And so, the skills and capacities that seem to be most necessary, first of all, resilience. And resilience, usually we think of it as our ability to withstand pressure or bounce back after pressure. And it is that, but it's also our ability to learn and develop and grow through periods of pressure and change. And if we look at what makes human beings resilient, what you see in the research are, several things. One is mindset, ability to keep a positive mindset. And you know a lot about this from your work. We have a negativity bias as human beings. Mm-hmm. We're wired to look for and pay much more attention to negative information rather than positive information. And what that means is that we can get a sort of imbalanced and unrealistic view of things, an overly negative view of things, which then causes us more stress. So the kind of skill of a positive mindset, learning how to pay attention to the positive as well as the negative. In the case of AI, if we bring it back to that, that we can see, all of the reasons that we can be fearful about AI, people's jobs being done better by computers, so people losing their jobs or having to change the way they do their jobs, and or indeed the destruction of humanity seems to be on the table now as well. But there's also positivity, right? Even so, if you look at law firms now, law firms are using AI. They're using AI to aid with due diligence, to come up with legal decisions, to draft documents and this sort of thing. And that can potentially be very positive. That can be work that is draining for lawyers. So it can save time, it can save energy. It can mean lawyers have more time to really be present and, face to face with clients, or even take a bit of time off and, take care of their well-being. So learning how to train the mind to focus on the positive, not that we ignore the negative, not that we pretend that things are nice when they aren't, but that we realize the brain will have a tendency to sort of disregard or filter out positive information in favor of the negative. And there's an intelligent survival mechanism involved in that, which isn't really relevant anymore, right? Or rarely relevant. So training the mind to look for, okay, also what's good in this? What is the positive? So positive mindset is key to resilience. And then relaxation. And, you know, I think it's important for people to realize that relaxation is a skill. And it's a skill that most of us haven't learned. So even in our very thorough education, probably we weren't taught, and now here's how you relax, right? Most people are really not good at relaxing. And especially I work mostly with leaders, right? Leaders are high endurance. They're usually really good in endurance and really poor in relaxation, which means we can sort of keep going, but we don't recover, right? So learning how to relaxation is a skill. And if you're not good in it, you know, people don't need to feel bad about that. It makes sense. We weren't taught how to relax, but essentially it's a skill of learning to regulate your nervous system. And then I think you know, there are many points we could talk about here, but I think the ones that are most effective to your question is positive mindset, ability to relax, and then also an ability to sort of keep an eye on the bigger picture, that we also sort of take care of our you know, that we don't sort of get stuck in the details or sort of go down a rabbit hole, but that we're actually able to see the big picture and have sort of clarity on that. Those are some key aspects of resilience. I mean, there are many more, but that's probably a good starting point.